I was already planning to start a YouTube channel like right off the bat after I graduated.
Okay.
But then I was so awkward on camera. I was too serious.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
I feel like people think I'm this really bubbly girl that I'm not. I'm pretty serious in person.
This podcast is powered by Zoom. All right, today I'm joined by a great host. She's also an on-cam and voice talent. She's a content creator on YouTube, and she's much, much more. You'll get to know her as we go along. You can catch her online and on her YouTube at Micah Louisse. Micah, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, Trey. It is an honor to be on your podcast, and it's actually my first podcast ever. So
you know what? I get that quite often. Like people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's my first like legit podcast," and I'm just glad to be the first experience for the podcasting world for people.
Yes, and especially considering that I've known you for such a
yeah.
long time.
I've known you for like what, 10 years?
10 years, or maybe even. I feel like maybe even
I've known you more than 10 years, but I've like only like we've been friends for about 10 years. I think that's fair.
We've been friends for about 10 years. Yeah. And I think it started during the camps.
Yes, exactly. We went to the same youth camps together.
Exactly.
We had mutual friends. I saw you every now and then.
Yes, that's
every
right.
weekend I'd see you. I'm like, oh, like it's Micah. In fact, we have a few photos online if you look really way back. We have a few.
I'm kidding.
We have a few photos where if you look at it, it's just like I have no idea. Like, I'm just glad that we both, grew up. When it comes to your work, because I know that you're used to, going to these big events, you're used to seeing people, you're used to like playing off a crowd. Of course, like that's part of the job. What's it like going from that to I now have to host something inside my own bedroom? What's that like?
Oh my goodness. Wait, I wanna share an experience with you. So I was doing this live stream on Lazada for this brand called BYS.
Okay.
And it was fun. I was able to set up well.
Yeah.
And I had like this 50 pesos Lazada, what do you call it? Phone tripod.
Okay.
And it just so happens that my phone's case is really thick. I got the OtterBox.
Okay.
And the thing that holds the phone together just spit it out while I was on the live stream. And there was so much trouble with the lighting. It wasn't all that flattering, especially since I was doing my makeup on the live stream because BYS is a makeup brand. Right, okay. I was like, oh, this is really stressful. But all in all, I had fun. Very, very different. The events are so different. Right. It's more nerve-wracking to me. I like it when people are hyped and they're right in front of me. Sure. Rather than I don't even know what they're thinking or if they're listening at all from the comforts of their homes, right? Yeah. So those are some of the troubles that I've faced.
I understand what you mean, actually, because I was invited to speak at my old course, like one of their events, to be like an alumni speaker and stuff. And it was like a Zoom thing. Huh?
Online.
Yeah. It was a Zoom thing. And I hated it because I have like 15 minutes, right? To like say what I want to say. Maybe like minute 5. In my head, I'm like, is anybody listening to me? Because I don't see, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same. It's not, you don't get the same vibe and reaction as an, if you go somewhere. So I understand what you mean by it's really, really difficult. Was it difficult for you when you started the whole hosting gig?
Oh, yeah, it was. Wait, during the pandemic?
I don't know, like initially.
General. Oh, definitely. I didn't want to be a host.
Okay.
I was forced to be a host. So I went to Assumption College, San Lorenzo. Okay. I'll give you a backstory.
Right.
And they were holding this audition, and in my head it was because they were looking for a DJ for the school. Okay. So nobody was going to see you while you were talking.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Like, whatever. So I did. I went for it. It's like, game. And then out of everybody that auditioned, I won the place. And apparently, it's not to be a DJ of the school, but to host events for the school. Like the WNCAA. And like, I'm like, wait, What? MC? I thought I was gonna be a DJ.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely nerve-wracking, totally out of my comfort zone. I was a very, very insecure young girl back then, so that was new territory for me. Wait, Trey, I wanted to ask you, what course or program did you take up in college?
I took political science, AB political science.
You went to LaSalle, right?
I did.
DLSU?
Yep.
Because I noticed that you're doing something completely different from political science.
Yeah.
What made you decide that you wanted to pursue the things that you're doing now rather than the jobs that fall under the program that you took up in college?
Okay, so that's that's a very long story if you want to get all the details, right? But I'll try to summarize it a little bit. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be a diplomat. So from a diplomat, that shifted.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So that kind of shifted into becoming a politician here. Because I was like, wait, I don't want to live somewhere else that, you're assigned there. And then I was like, wait, no, I don't like that. I'll just become a lawyer. Like in my head. And then after a while, I worked at the law firm. I worked at the regional trial court. And I was like, wait, I kind of don't like lawyers that much. Like, not that I don't like them. I don't want to be around them every day. Like, it's a different field. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
And then that's when I decided, like, I loved what I studied, but I want to do business to earn money.
Yeah, and you're more passionate.
Yeah.
Like, because imagine getting into law or like being a politician and you don't really want to be there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to really want it in order for you to perform the best that you can.
I remember, so the judge I was working for in the regional trial court asked us, because we were like 3 interns, she asked us, do you all want to take up law? And at the time we were all like, yeah, we want to take up law. Right. And then she goes, because it was a 9-month internship. And then she goes, don't make your choice yet. Choose after the internship. And we were like, oh, okay.
Really good.
Yeah, it was. And then we're like, oh, okay. And then after the internship, 2 out of 3 of us were like, yeah, I'm not taking law anymore.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 were like, yeah, I'm not going there.
I was thinking 2 out of 10. But no, that's 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Literally, 66% of us were like, nah, not doing that.
But that's a really good advice from the judge who you interned
for sure.
Right? Because not everybody's going to say that. They're probably going to be like, you either want to be here or you don't, get out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Super tough.
That was an interesting experience for me, going through all that.
Right.
For you, I don't know where to place you exactly in terms of career, because you're not too far from what you studied in Assumption, right?
No, I'm not. I took up media production, but then media production is more behind the scenes. Actually.
Right.
It's not that far, but it's definitely not the same.
It's not this. It's not what you're doing now.
It's not what I'm doing now.
They didn't
although
teach you this is how you set up your YouTube.
No,
Anyways,
we didn't.
Go on.
Exactly. Who teaches that in college? My goodness, I don't think the parents would enroll their kids to that school.
YouTube 101.
YouTube 101, right? Crash course. But anyway, so yeah, I did take up media production. Although growing up, I've always been so into acting initially in high school. But yeah, I've really been into acting and really more performing, being on cam, because I grew up with a family of commercial models. I was never one of them. So I would always just watch them from afar whenever they would have the shootings and all that.
Yeah.
But I tried. I did. After I graduated, of course, the first thing that you would do is go on Job Street, go on Caliber. Look for jobs that are related to what you're taking up.
Yeah, for sure.
What you took up.
For sure. Especially if you don't really know yet what you want to do.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Of course, you want to look around. Like,
I kept
how
looking
much will
around.
I be paid if I do something like this? You know what I mean? You start looking around, you start weighing it. Like, is it worth it?
And I hated the fact that sometimes they wouldn't disclose how much you would get.
Exactly.
I didn't like that.
I'm like, wait, but it's more than a minimum. How much more than minimum?
How much more than minimum?
Is it like 1,000 more? 5,000 more?
Yeah, and for those listening who have not tried like the whole job interview scenario yet, they're actually gonna ask you how much you're expecting to get paid, right?
Yeah.
So of course it shouldn't be that far off from their offer. because sometimes they say it online.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. I tried to apply to so many different.
What were the companies you tried to apply for?
Companies. Oh my god, Trey, I don't remember. But a lot. Maybe every single week, I do like 2 to 3 for about 2 months.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I got the jobs. I was only turned down once.
Okay. Oh wow.
And considering
so you're just like, okay, I have 3 job offers. I'm gonna look for another one.
Yeah. I had a lot of job offers, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm just
about it.
speaking as is, like, with my experience, but I just knew that it wasn't for me. And I knew about it when the employer was telling me that you either sign now or
you don't.
We won't get you, or you don't get the job. And you know what? I took a leap of faith. I was like, can you give me a moment? And I stepped out of the room.
Yeah.
I called Adrian. This was like the best offer that I got. Out of like how many was it? Like 15, 10, how many jobs there were lined up.
Yeah.
I called Adrian and I asked him, like, is this it? Because I don't know if this is it. Like, I'm so fixed on how much I'm gonna get. Like, is that really how you're supposed to be when you're looking for a job? Because I don't want to be driven by money. I was on the verge of crying. Imagine that. So I walked back in and I told him that I wasn't gonna get the job. I'm sorry. And that was the last one. That was the best offer, and that was also the last time.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? Did you ever try to apply elsewhere apart from other businesses that you're doing now?
So the the answer is no, in terms of a job, right?
Yeah, a job.
After college, I did freelance work. I did a lot of that. Yeah. Eventually, I moved away from that, started my own business in apparel, and so far that's been good for
page
me.
95.
Yeah, page 95. Let's go. I have a new hoodie. And then after a while, the podcasting thing. It's just something that I love. It's something I like doing. I want to ask you though, when you started a YouTube channel, because here's the thing. Most podcasts nowadays don't have a YouTube channel yet. A lot
You're right.
are starting it. There are a lot of podcasts who do have one already, but not the majority. I wanted to be one of the few in the Philippines to do it first, right?
Yes, pioneer.
And then when you start a YouTube channel, now I understand. I've never made my own YouTube channel before. And then you just you have to make everything. I don't mind the designing part. And after a while, you're like, oh, I have 30 subscribers. What was it like when you started out on YouTube?
Oh my goodness, the most nerve-wracking thing. Because prior to that, I was already planning to start a YouTube channel like right off the bat after I graduated.
Okay.
But then I was so awkward on camera. I was too serious.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people think I'm this really bubbly girl that I'm not. I'm pretty serious in person. You know this trait, right? Yeah. I'm a pretty serious person. So I was super boring. It's like I didn't have a personality. I scrapped that and then I started it. If you look at my first video, it was so obvious that I was nervous.
Yeah.
And I was thinking a lot about the judgment.
Oh, for sure.
What people would think.
For sure.
Like, oh my goodness, they're gonna think this is another person trying so hard to be a YouTuber, like in the beauty
especially
space.
In a space that's so saturated. Yeah.
Yes, you got that right. But I knew that I had to do it and I wanted to do it. First off, I graduated media production. I had a background in editing and really creating content.
Yeah.
And second, I wasn't gonna be hosting every single day, especially since I was just starting out, right?
For sure.
So it's like I need an outlet where I can talk about my interests and listen to the interests of other people as well. So what better platform than YouTube? And I wanted to be super consistent. I committed to it from the first video that I did, so I had to keep doing it. And then that's exactly what I did. But to be honest with you, Trey, I mean, not a lot of people agreed with me when I did this. You know, one of the questions that I always got was, Micah, what's your 5-year plan? And I hated that question.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing in 5 months. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and who would have known, like way back in March this year, that 7 months later, okay, we'd still be in lockdown. Nobody would have thought that we would still be where we are now.
Yeah.
Like, what more 5 years from now? And I'm so glad that I don't have the burden of writing that story, that I can just pray to God, ask God, Lord, what do you want for me? Because that's where I'm gonna go, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody wanted me to take up a regular job. It's just like one of those toxic Filipino things. Like, maging doktor ka, maging piloto ka, do this, because this is where the money is. Like, art, ano yung art na yan? Passion, wala yan, wala kang pera dyan. And it's not that I wanted to prove them wrong, but I knew, like, getting into this, that there was no other way for me. Like, I had to pursue this because I knew that this was the purpose.
Yeah.
And true enough, it just, God just kept providing one project after another.
Right.
He was the one making it happen. Because unlike you, like, I guess in business, you can pitch yourself.
Yeah.
But, like,
for sure,
as a YouTuber or, like, as a host, you don't really get to do that.
Yeah.
It's either your clients come to you or you don't have any clients at all. Yeah, which is...
That makes sense, because you don't know when the project's coming up.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm going to go to brands and be like, hey, can I be an influencer for your brand? Right?
Hey, give me some money. And
can you give me some money?
And I'll post something about you.
Oh my goodness.
I'll give you maybe 2 or 3. No, I get what you mean, though, because I honestly remember being one of the first few hundred to subscribe to your channel.
Yes, thank you.
And I remember, like, when you first started out, in my head, honestly, I was like, how are you going to differentiate yourself from, thousands of other people who are on the same platform doing almost the same thing?
Yeah.
Right? For you, how do you think you were able to differentiate what you do without you're not boasting about it, but what makes you a bit different from the usual or the generic YouTuber?
Generic YouTuber. I actually feel like I only found out, like, my niche just about this year, maybe, or like going into the quarantine.
Yeah.
I realized, like, based on my comments and my audience, that they really like it that I don't only talk about beauty, because whenever I talk about beauty, I talk about makeup and fashion. At the very end of my videos, I share to them how it's so much more important to invest on their character, like who they are as people, rather than, the facade.
Yeah.
Because we just have to go deeper than what's out here.
Yeah.
And that's what my audience really likes about me. I don't want to take that out. Like about me.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that out of what I do, because that's the very heart of my channel. I don't want people to get lost in, again, the saturated space of the YouTube beauty community, which only talks about how you should do your makeup right, or like how you should dress and all that. I think we're told enough that this is the beauty standards of society. Not enough people tell us to look into ourselves, and then it's gonna shine through how we look like on the outside. I guess my inspiration really comes from the beautiful people that I know personally, like my friends. They're not very into fashion or makeup, but they're such lights, I guess I would say, in my life, because of the beauty that they radiate from their character, not really from how they look. And those are the people that inspired me to go beyond, like, the regular beauty YouTuber content.
Yeah.
I would say in the YouTube space, Trey, actually YouTube is very difficult, because people who go on YouTube like those with personalities better than those with good-looking faces.
Fair, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
That's the thing about YouTube that I absolutely love. There's this girl, actually, I was just watching her earlier. I recently discovered her. I think she's from the States, but she's Korean. And then she just started her channel about 3 months ago, and now she has about 44,000 subscribers. Wow. So I was like, what's all the fuzz about?
Yeah.
I watched her video. I'm sorry, I forgot what her name was.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad, but okay. I just watched one of her videos kasi.
Yep.
So yeah, I clicked on her video and oh my goodness, the wit, the personality is oozing. I loved her. Like just the first 10 seconds of her video and I was hooked. And that's what I love about YouTube. Because either you have the personality or you're not really gonna make it. Because people are not gonna stick around just because you look good on YouTube, to be honest. Like you have to have this too.
Oh, for sure. That's something I want to ask you as well. So with the podcast, here's the thing. This is my space.
Yes.
I talk with somebody for 70 minutes a week.
And that's
right?
difficult, Trey. Like what you do is difficult.
But that's the thing. I like what I'm doing. But if I think about, if I have to make a 5-minute video, how do you do that? How do you collect your thoughts into a 5-minute video and present it to the world? Like, here are my thoughts. I have 70 minutes and I have a hard time. How do you do that?
How do I do that? Oh my goodness, you know what, Trey? I actually don't have scripts for my videos most of the time.
Okay.
So I want to be as organic as possible whenever I talk about the products that I use, especially since I do like beauty vlogs.
Oh, right.
So I don't want it to be scripted because it gives me time to think. I want to tell them, like right off the bat, this is what I think about this product and this is my experience of it. Though I understand why people would write scripts to be able to remember. But anyway, what I do for my videos is that I take a really long time talking about a certain topic that I want to address on my videos or a certain product. And then if I feel like there are parts of that I can cut down so that I can just get to the point immediately, that's what I do. I just slice it up.
I'm actually honestly really impressed with these people who can talk for 5 minutes and the point is clear, points are elaborated. Of course, this is my medium and I prefer it over that, but it is what it is.
And you're doing so good at it.
Thank you.
So
Thank
just
you,
keep
Micah.
on
Thank
going. Yeah, I think we, podcasts are super different from YouTube videos.
Very.
I don't know what I prefer because I love both so much. I love listening to podcasts. I love watching videos, but I would say I get more meat from podcasts.
Yeah.
And also I get to learn more about the personality of the person talking behind the microphone.
I think so too. I wanna ask you this before we go into the next topic. What would be your word of advice to the people who are younger, who are thinking, I'm not sure if I want to go into a space that is unsure?
Yeah.
Or a space that doesn't pay me based on a 9 to 5? Because I'm sure that you went through a lot of that. You went through a lot of hardships of not knowing, should I pursue this? Of course, not everyone is meant to pursue the arts in general. There are a lot of people who are also more geared towards an office, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Yeah,
that
great.
Doesn't make them less creative. But for you, what would be your word of advice if someone's struggling to find where they're supposed to be?
The first thing that I did when I decided that I really wanted to pursue what I'm doing now is I really prayed about it. Like I just really kept asking God, like, God, I want to go where you have brought me. And I knew after I prayed for days just asking him where he was leading me, that he wouldn't have blessed me with the talents that I had if he didn't want me to use it. So I love what Asel Van Oman said. If you guys don't know her, I believe that she used to be the lead singer of Moonstar 88.
Okay, I'm not familiar, but go ahead.
I interviewed her.
Oh,
and
nice.
She said that passion is what drives you, but purpose is what keeps you going. In the past, I used to tell people, go for what you're passionate about. Just go for it. And sometimes the passion doesn't work alone. Because if there's no purpose, it can run out.
Yeah.
It sometimes runs dry.
Easily.
Yeah, exactly. It can run dry really easily. So you have to know, like, what is your purpose? That's what you ask. Like, do you believe that you were given the set of skills that you have now to be where you want to go? ask those questions to yourselves, because it's important that you ask yourselves the questions in order for you to know the answer to it, right?
Yeah.
So, and don't be solely driven by passion, because sometimes passion doesn't work out.
For sure.
Ask the purpose. And you actually, whenever I lose my passion for what I do, because sometimes I do lose the passion, I always go back to, why am I doing this in the first place? Why did God bring me into this space in the first place? And then the passion starts to reignite, because I realize that I'm meant to be here and I have a purpose where I'm at. So there, don't go for your passion. Ask what your purpose is.
I love that point, because honestly, passion, while it's a great thing, it's not going to be there all the time. Just like what I was saying, if you look at your likes or if you look at your views on YouTube and you have less than 100, it's easy to lose that passion like that.
Super.
It's done. Super. You're gone. If you don't feel like your purpose is connected to your craft or what you're doing, it's so easy to leave, honestly, because in terms of passion, whether it may be career or love, which is what we're gonna go to later, passion goes out super easily.
What about for you? I mean, for someone, because for me, I pursued kind of like in the same line of what I took up in college. For you, what about for those people who are second guessing whether they should go into business rather than pursue a job under the program that they took in college? What would your advice be to them?
For me, definitely would be weigh your options first. In terms of the people who are not sure what they want to do and are thinking they're forced to be part of their career. I mean, the people who are forced to thinking that they have to do what their course tells them to do. I understand where you're coming from, because you might think that 4 years is wasted, etc., etc. But if you use your skills that you learned in the 4-year course in another area, it might not be the technical skill that you learned, but all the other intangibles. If you can do that, I think that's a great thing. In my own personal course, I learned so much research. I learned how to differentiate things, how to look at systems, because I did poli-sci. So we looked at systems, we looked at policies, we looked at all these different things and what are the effects of that. So my cause and effect mind is very in tune, I think. So if you can use that in the business part, it can work out. So it's just up to you and how you use your skills. It's not about the course.
You know, Trey, that's a really good point, because some people, they don't like education because they feel like, oh, well, I'm studying is not really related to what I'm doing. Like, I'm not even going to use that in my everyday life. Yeah.
Which, by the way, algebra is super important. Anyways, go on.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm not good with math, but okay. I'll take that. No, I was just saying that personally for me, what my college life taught me, or I guess, my entire life back when I was a student, was more on like the morals part.
Okay.
Or like
values.
My principles, my values, and also how to interact with people, like creating interpersonal relationships, like being more social. It's not really just about like algebra, the numbers, or like the knowledge with philosophy, blah 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 blah. It's really not just about that. There are so many things you learn merely just by surrounding yourself by people from different walks of life, right?
Yeah.
And that's what people do not see. That's why we shouldn't take that for granted. Like, education is important, not only for the subjects that you take up, but more so for the values or like the principles that you get to hone as you are a student.
Yeah. Any last tips that you have on aspiring creatives before we go on break?
Oh, just keep at it. It doesn't matter if you don't have equipment, if you don't have the right stuff. I started with my cell phone.
Oh yeah, an iPhone is so powerful nowadays.
Yes, but I had I think it was an iPhone 5. I was to start out my YouTube channel, so it wasn't that powerful yet. Doesn't matter. Like, don't think about the equipment. Don't think about what you have. Start it out, because you are gonna get wiser as you go along. And it's very important to channel who you are, like show your personality, and also share something different on the table, even if you're doing something similar to what other people are.
Yeah. Because you might actually just be a bit better than the other person. You never know.
Yeah.
So just go and try.
Yeah, exactly. So
all right, we're gonna go on a quick break. All right, we're back from the break. We're still with Micah Louisse.
Hi.
And so we're gonna go a bit more personal at this part, right?
Ooh,
we talked about career. Here's the thing, right? I've known you for, like what I said, I've known you for about 10 years personally.
A long time.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've seen you go through a lot of phases of your life. From a distance. We weren't that close, but I've seen the different phases that you've been part, like high school and college.
Yeah. Though we were in the same group of friends.
Yeah. I mean, so, but I kind of saw. I mean, you never really told me about, hey, like I'm dating this person. Like it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But like,
no.
But like I did see the different phases of your life, and this is what I want to ask you about. Mm-hmm. The first question I have in this part is, what's it like being apart from your boyfriend for 4 or 5 months, and then seeing him again for the first time after quarantine?
Oh, that's so funny. You know, what's really interesting is that we were able to get deeper into knowing more about each other during the phone calls that we had, like the late night phone calls that we would have during those 4 months that we wouldn't see each other, because it's easier not to talk or like not to do anything when you're with each other, right?
Yeah.
So of course, when you're always on the phone, it's almost like you're always dating and getting to know the other person.
Yeah, you're forced to have conversation.
Yes, and which is really great. And seeing him for the first time, of course, it was different because normally we'd see each other in the mall. Whoa, there's a face of the person I'm talking to on the phone. I want to ask you, Trey, since you asked me about love, what's it like for you? Are you dating during this time?
No, not at all. No. It's something that,
do you have plans, or do you think that the pandemic is such a huge hindrance to that? No, because I want to ask, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious, like, how do I date during this time, right?
Yeah. My honest answer is I don't know how. That's why I'm not doing it. If there is somebody, right, that you're interested in, then you can work with that. You can start talking, start doing all that stuff. I'm at a space where I don't like anybody. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, there's no one that catches my interest as of today. That's just it. In quarantine, it's funny because people are always like, how are you going to get a girlfriend now? Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm not. Like, if something happens,
but really though,
great.
Like, how, right? How are you going to do that?
I have no idea. When it comes to your relationship, though, what's it like when you feel like you're actually growing up in your mindsets of what a relationship actually is?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? The other night, I was watching my mukbang with Adrian. I think we did it 2 years ago. And I called Adrian up and I was like, Dan, we're so different now.
Yeah.
Like, even the way we talk to each other, I seemed so impatient towards him. And at that time, we were giving love advice.
Yeah,
and I feel like we knew so little, and there's so much to learn still until now.
Yeah.
The difference is that before, I thought I knew everything about it. I thought there was a formula to it. And like, all you have to do is give a little part of yourself, be there for the person, and that's it. But it wasn't. It was it's so much more.
Yeah.
And now what I'm looking forward to is being able to honestly just converse about our faith and talk about something deeper than, oh, what do we do? Oh, dating. Oh, how are you? It's now about how we can both be a vessel for God as a couple. Yeah. It's totally different because I thought it was just all about me and him and me and him. Not Adrian specifically at that. Yeah, I'm talking about my past.
Okay.
And then
oh, no, Adrian.
Just changed.
Go on.
Yeah, it just changed, which is an indicator that you're on the right track.
Yeah. I agree. It's something that you have to grow up. I mean, I'm not there right now, but what's it like when? Because you guys are what, 3, 4 years now?
4 years, yeah.
You guys are 4 years in.
Together.
What are the major differences in mindsets, other than what you just mentioned, of your
Wait.
first year and now?
Actually, Trey, I want to ask you first, since you asked me that. What has changed for you? I mean, I know the person that you were with before, and before that, I didn't know the girl that came first. But anyway,
okay,
this is so funny because we know each other so well and throughout the years. But anyway, for you, how different has it been ever since the last relationship that you had?
One big thing that I learned is that don't think about it like you're marrying a future person. Right? Think about it like you're doing it with a person who they are today. Very big difference. You might think, oh, when we're married, she's gonna be different. She's gonna be like this. But you're gonna be the same person, and you're gonna be even more exposed to each other. The further you go down the line. So that's something I really learned. I try to look for someone. That's why I'm very picky as well. I don't like to project in the future. I'm like, do I like you for who you are today?
Yeah.
Then
that's good.
If you fit that, then that's great.
Yeah, because you're not gonna ask, oh, maybe I can like her now because I know that she's gonna get better.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what a lot of people think. Or a lot of people will think, I can fix her.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that's dangerous. Yes. That was me, and I know it's so toxic, that's so bad. Dangerous. That is dangerous. And you know what? That's a really good point, because one of my deal breakers when I first started out dating Adrian was, do I want this guy to be the father of my children? That was really my question.
For sure.
And when my answer was yes, I was like, okay, then let's keep going. Because if my answer is no, then it's probably going to be no a year from now too.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure. Not that you know everything right away, right? Like, of course, you have to get to know person a bit before you make that decision. But at the same time, after a few months, after a year, you'll know. You'll have a good feeling. Because it's not that people don't change. People can change. But most likely, you're going to get the person who you're with today compared to someone you're projecting in the future. So that's a very dangerous part about thinking that you really like someone that much. I want to ask you this though, because for me in my own life, I'm at a point in my life where I'm thinking, if I like someone, I want to go for it. Right? It's just, I'm here, I have a business, I have enough. I just don't like anybody. But in your opinion, at what point do you go from wait for it and go for it?
Oh, you know what? You're not gonna know. That's the real answer. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was with this guy for 7 years.
Sheesh.
It was very on and off. And imagine I'm 24, Trey. I'm 24.
Yeah.
So I was 12 years old. And I was 12 years old.
I was 14 in my first one, but go on.
There, see? You get it. And people say, when you know, you know. And that was the advice to me. And at 12, I was like, I know. This is the guy. And it was a very dangerous advice. Because I stuck around for 7 years knowing that on the very first year, I should have bowed out.
Yeah.
It was very unhealthy. It was so toxic. My parents, okay, that's one huge factor. My parents didn't know about it. I didn't have their blessing. And that was when the lies started. I lied to my parents. They didn't know a thing about the relationship. So that means I can get away with everything now. It starts with one little lie about to your parents about the relationship, and then it becomes like this domino effect.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any healthier from there. No good will come out of evil. Trust me. It's really not. But with Adrian, this is where I really changed things up. Because at that point, I was like, I'm so tired. I don't want to leave pieces of my heart and my life, who I am as a person, to people who won't have a relevance in my future. I mean, who would want to? Who wants to get heartbroken? Nobody wants to go through that. So the first thing I did was really tell my mom about it. I was like, Mom, I like this guy and I'm talking to this guy. And I wanted to get her natural opinion. I mean, her organic opinion, rather. And I wanted to be sure that I was honoring her with that relationship as early as just talking to him in that kilig-kilig stage pa lang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first time that Adrian ever asked me out, we specifically said that if our parents are iffy about it, if they say no, then it's not gonna happen. Because that was the first time that I really prioritized my parents' opinion and their blessing.
Yeah.
And I was crying to God in my dorm room, Trey. I was really crying to him before meeting up with Adrian, or like even before asking my mom. It's like, God, please. Like, I don't, if he's not the one, take it away.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult prayer.
Oh, for sure.
It was very difficult. But I didn't want to go through what I went through anymore because I was so broken. But then it happened. Like, my mom said yes, his parents said yes, and then we met up. And then the first thing that Adrian told me was that I want to get to know you, because in the future, if we do hit it off and we get together, he wants to get married.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of the relationship. And I said that's exactly the route that I want to take too.
Yeah.
And from then on, well, here we are. We're still together, and I would say such a healthy relationship. We both lead each other towards the one who gives us the ability to love in the first place. And that's the difference. You'll know when, you will know that the person is the right one, or when it's time to jump into that relationship, when you ask God about it and he tells you the answer. That's my answer, because I didn't know until I got that yes from him.
You were how old at the time? 21?
Oh, I was young. I was 19.
You were you were 19 when you started out with Adrian?
Yes.
Wait, I thought you were 21.
No, Adrian was 21.
Oh, okay. He was 21.
What about you, Trey? Because you're currently not in a relationship right now.
Yeah.
Just based on what you think, or what you feel, or maybe your past experience, when do you think it's time to go for it? More than just beyond your emotions, beyond your feelings.
Yeah. That's a interesting question as well to ask me, I think, because I have had so many answers throughout my life, right?
Exactly.
When you ask 15-year-old me and 17-year-old me, it's a different answer.
Yes.
So I lean towards what you were saying, how that you'll never know. But my big thing also here is that you have to know where you're going. If you're not mature enough to talk about where you're going, then you're not ready.
Right.
Yes. It doesn't even have to be like super far, but you have to know and talk to each other about what you are, where you're going, what is this, you know what I mean? And if you don't agree with that at an early stage, maybe you're not ready.
Don't get into a relationship.
Or the other person's not ready for it.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it. There are people who I know that they've been together since high school and they're married now. Like, great for them. People could have judged them and said, oh, you guys aren't ready. But, you'll never know. At the same time, though, like what I said, if you can't be clear about it, where are you really going?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's a really good point. You have to have a direction first, actually, more than anything else. Because if you're getting into the relationship merely because, oh, she's cute, he's hot or something like that, just the superficial stuff, then trust me when I tell you that it's gonna get toxic, and you guys are just gonna break up, and you're just gonna leave a piece of your heart to someone who didn't really take care of it that well, right?
I agree.
It's really a state of maturity too. Like, are you guys ready for the next step, or do you see this person in your future? Do you think you can get married to this person? Like what you said, like, do you accept this person for who that person is now?
Yeah.
If the answer is no to all those questions, then hold it off, because your emotions are not going to sustain the relationship. Yeah.
And one big thing for me, like what I said, I really value transparency and clarity. that's something that you really need, at least that's what, if you want it to last, at least. Sure, there are people who they have different stories and different things, but I really do believe in clarity, at least.
Trey, I have a controversial question
Go
for
ahead.
you. Oh, okay. I've been thinking about this since yesterday.
Okay.
But you know that in our culture today, it's actually accepted that, I mean, whenever women would be the ones to confess to the guys, some women have proposed to their boyfriends.
Yeah.
Right? It's become a thing now.
Yeah, it has.
Is it okay for you when the girl is the one to confess? Or does that make you feel like that kind of makes you want to step back?
For me, the question would be why. If the girl confesses because, let's say, they have like a visual thing with each other, like they know they like each other, and the guy's not saying anything, that's where I find fault more than the girl saying that she likes him. Because I'm not a girl, I can't really be in that space where I can't really imagine also not being able to say what I want to say. But at the same time, I find more issue with if a guy can't at least say that they like somebody, or at least be honest with, like, I'm interested in you, at least.
Or like right? When they're not interested, they just start ghosting the person.
Okay, so short story, there's this girl actually last year that I liked,
okay,
and then we were talking on Instagram.
Do I know her?
Yes, you know her. All right.
Okay.
So we were talking on Instagram back and forth for a few weeks, right? And then this was last year. Eventually, we were like, "Hey, let's hang out, let's meet up." By the second time we hung out, because I knew I liked this girl, and I knew that if I didn't tell her, I'd still keep falling. I'd be like, "Oh yeah." So I knew I had to tell her right away, because if I didn't, then it would be a bit weird. I'll be leading myself on, and I'm glad that I told her. So I told her, right? And then she was like, she was really flattered. She was smiling. She was saying like, "Oh, like, can I pray about it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And then after a while, she asked to meet up again. She said that she felt like at her end, she wasn't ready for it. And I respect that so much. That's something that...
It's good.
That's a story that I like to share as well in terms of clarity. Because now I'm like, okay, cool. I can, like, we can still be friends, but like...
Yeah. Exactly.
I can like see you and be like, all right, she doesn't want, that's fine. Yeah. Easy, Sure, that's good. There's a lot of experiences of people like, oh, they're afraid of rejection, but you might be leading yourself on, man, if you keep doing it and you're not saying at least something. Just try.
Yeah, I think what's wrong too when it comes to transparency or confessing is that sometimes people confess for the wrong motives. Like they want to get they want the other person to reciprocate the feelings. Like, I'm telling you this because I want to hear that you like me too.
Yeah.
And not really for clarity.
Yeah.
Some say it because they want to know that, hey, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know that, so that the friendship is still, it remains intact, kind of thing.
I don't know. So it's a weird space as well. I'll be honest. Like, I just think just say it if you're in the position to say it. If you feel like if you say it, nothing good can happen after that. Then don't say it. I think it's just that clear.
And maybe say it without expectations.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Say it without expectations. Yeah. I had that one time last year where I'm like, I just want to know.
Were you kind of expecting?
No, that's the thing.
Okay, that's good. That's the right way to do it, right?
Yeah,
and that's the right position.
Yeah, and the thing is that I knew her, and she was very gracious about it. She didn't. There wasn't a big issue about it. There wasn't, this big whole gossip train that happened. It's none of that. That's why I really appreciated that. And that's part of it. I want to ask you something about being in a relationship, though. Because when you're there and you look online, you look at Instagram, you look at, movies, you see people on YouTube, they're doing these grand gestures for each other. They're giving each other, I don't know, like the most extreme, like they're giving each other a car, they're giving each other like all these,
Yes.
flowers and chocolates and this huge teddy bear that I'm not even sure most of them will use. What are your thoughts on the Instagram love of I have to give you
Oh,
material things and
yeah.
show it off to people?
Oh, it's not even just Instagram,
Mm,
Twitter. And I feel like that's where the sana all culture comes
mm,
from. You know, we see couples like this or
yeah,
people who
yeah.
have these things and they're like, sana all, may kanyan. And I'll be lying to you if I told you that I never thought about it. Like, what
Yeah,
if I had
yeah, yeah.
someone who gave me all these things, but it's just so
Mm,
superficial. It's so superficial. Like with Adrian, I appreciate all the little things that he would do,
mm,
and more of the service
mm,
and like the actions and how I see his love translate through how he is with me on a daily basis. Like
yeah,
even how
yeah.
he talks to me. But it's never gonna come out of material things.
Mm, yeah,
You're never
yeah.
gonna you're never gonna know who the person is through what that person gives you.
Mm,
It's not an indicator of whether you should be with them or not. Because
yeah.
if a person can give you grand gifts, but you know to yourself that he doesn't have a good character
Mm,
or like he doesn't have good values or his values
mm,
don't align with yours, then what are you doing with him?
right.
Just because you're getting nice things, right?
Mm,
I remember there was this couple recently. I think they're famous on YouTube, I think.
okay.
I don't really know them. I only found out about them because of the scandal. They had a scandal.
Okay.
I think they're married
Mm,
or like they're my girlfriend. I don't know.
mm,
And then the girl went live on Facebook
okay.
and they were fighting while the live was on. And she was like, sabihin mo sa kanila, like tell them what you were telling me that you're gonna go leave because you finally have your first million from YouTube.
Mm,
Tell them. And I was like, see, look at that.
yeah.
And on their YouTube
Yeah.
videos, they're
Yeah.
portraying themselves like as if they're this perfect couple that
Yeah.
everybody was saying sana all to.
Mm,
And then
fair.
they have problems with money. I mean, is that even something you should be fighting about when you're in a relationship? No. But that will be one of your problems.
Yeah.
If you base your relationship on simply what the other person can give you or
Mm,
what the other person gives you, then expect really really deep toxic cuts from that relationship
yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
going to come. It's very superficial and a lot of people have to remember that this is not what relationships should look like.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't
Yeah.
be how do I say, we should, our minds or our eyes, our hearts shouldn't be clouded by what we see on social
Mm,
media. Just take a step back. That's why
mm,
social media detoxing is very important.
I agree.
What about you? You know, the pressure is really mostly on the guys.
Mm, yeah.
I rarely see videos of girls giving guys super
Mm,
grand things, but it's mostly the other way around.
mm.
So, do you feel that pressure?
Uh, I'd say no
Mm,
because maybe if I was with somebody that made it feel like she's expecting it, sure.
yeah.
I haven't had that in my life yet. I mean, I haven't been with somebody who was very materialistic because I'm not into materialistic people. Like, let's be
Mm,
honest.
of course.
Which is the
Who
reason why
would
I
be?
don't have. I'm not stuck in that space. But
Mm,
for example, like what you're saying with the Sana all culture, there are so many people like in say let's say high school, right? People
mm-hmm.
are asking each other to prom. It's like there's these big things. Well, in my school, at least it was like a big deal when someone would ask someone to prom. You know, like there's these flowers and these gifts, and someone would go on like the basketball court with like a prom thing. You know, what I mean, you can easily take a
Proposal.
picture. Yeah, you can easily take a picture of that and be like Sana all,
Mm,
but
yeah.
none of them lasted. That's that's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so
Yeah.
easy to feel like a moment can reflect a lifetime, but I don't think that's the case.
No, it
Y-
definitely does not, huh?
You know?
And like all those material things, they will rot, or like you're probably gonna sell them in the future, or
Yeah,
they're just
exactly. Or
gonna
you're
go
not even
into
gonna
the
use them.
attic.
That's why I don't like
Yeah.
gifts that I can't use.
No, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
like if you
That
give me
makes
something,
sense,
I want to
right?
be able to use it often.
Yeah.
You know, I prefer getting that kind of gift. That's just me. You know,
No.
um,
I totally understand.
but I understand though if people want to feel validated by physical stuff, because some people they really do feel validation through gifts.
Mm,
That's a thing. Like I'm not knocking anyone who gives gifts, but like what you were saying, if it reaches the point where that becomes your basis of love, then
yeah.
you might be in trouble.
Yeah. And that's the trouble of social media. Because it's making people think that you have to have a lot of money in order for you to be capable of being in a relationship. You have to be able to give this and that.
You have to afford this kind of restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. And that really sucks.
It does.
And
it really does.
It's so bad too. We're really living in a visual age now, huh? Where people just want to see that if they don't see it, then they won't believe it. But personally, for me, like, do you even feel the love for that person? Like, or it's just he's convenient to be around with because he gets you a lot of nice things, right? There.
Nice. All right, we're going to go on a quick break. All right, we're back from the break. We're still with Micah.
Hello.
Micah, I've been following you on Instagram, and when I check your stories, you're always reading something. There's always a book in your hand. There's always a new collection of something. What have been your major reads this quarantine?
Oh my goodness. Trey, I've been buying so many books.
That's
and I have like I have so many backlogs, to be honest with you guys. But the specific author I've been really, really enjoying right now is C.S. Lewis. I bought his collection because a lot of my friends from the Bible study group that I go to have told me to read up on his book. So I decided to buy an entire collection because I have heard so many good things about him. Yeah. And I know that you know him, right, Trey?
Yeah. I've read...
What are your favorites from
I've read most of his popular essays. It's a two-way tie between A Grief Observed and The Weight of Glory. I love those two essays. I haven't read that one.
I haven't read A Weight of Glory.
The Weight of Glory. It's one of my favorite books. It talks about just the idea of glory, the idea of not being able to hold something. Just read it. If you're listening, I recommend that book so much. It's not that long. It's less than 100 pages, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
It's one of his essays. It's like A Grief Observed. It's not too long, but it's one of his essays. A Grief Observed is one of my favorites. It's a letter written down for his, if I'm mistaken, it's written down for his deceased wife.
Yeah.
So when I was reading it, one of my favorite parts was when he goes to ask, I'm going to butcher this, right? But it's basically, the main idea is like, for me to ask for you back is to rob you of your joy in heaven.
Oh, that's at the very end, right?
Something like that. It's one of my favorite lines. And when I read it, I felt so emotional. I was like, wait. Because I'm sure we all have that feeling of we want to have
it right now. So I'm opening.
That's one of my favorite lines. Are there any specific lines or ideas that popped out for you?
Oh, you know what? I cannot wait to read all my other C.S. Lewis stuff. But can I just say real quick that I tried reading Abolition of Man. Oh my goodness. I didn't understand a thing, Trey.
That's okay. I didn't finish that. I'll be honest.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Yeah. And sometimes I find myself having to reread some of the parts of C.S. Lewis's books because his thoughts are so deep.
Yeah.
Like a normal person wouldn't think about what he thinks about. So, but anyway, going back to A Grief Observed, I actually have my book right here. Decided to open it. I even listed down like the quotes that I want to talk about here. If you guys have the book, from page 60 on page 68. Okay, this is just one part of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
And he wasn't at this part. He wasn't really talking about his deceased wife, but like I think in general about how people are towards God. And he says here, if you're approaching him not as the goal but as a road, not as the end but as a means, you're not really approaching him at all. And by him, he's talking about God.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people use God as a means to an end. Like they only start praying when they want to get to something, when they need something. Yeah. That's why people that's why people kind of turn their backs against God, because when they don't get what they want or like what they prayed for, they lose hope that God is even real.
Right.
Right? And are you really approaching God himself, or are you just using him to get to where you want to be? But that's not really gonna be a formula. That's not the right formula. Because if he says no to something that because he knows it's not for you, then you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard truth that we just have to. People need to hear.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get everything that you ask from God. Because you don't know better than he does about yourself.
Yeah. Are there any other books that really gave you that wow moment?
Are there any? Oh my goodness, Trey, so many books that have given me the wow moment. But I actually encourage everybody. You were saying earlier that the average person wouldn't really like C.S. Lewis or like
I don't know this person. yeah.
But then... No, but I totally get that. But honestly, if you're a skeptic or you're a half-convinced person about the faith, I think we should all do our part by researching and actually reading up on evidence or I guess the whole thing about faith and all that before we come down to a verdict that, oh, this isn't real. Because that's totally unfair. And I would highly recommend... I lost my dad. And I highly recommend this book called The Grief Observed because C.S. Lewis is just super raw about his feelings. And he was even questioning God a lot.
I love that part. Book. I loved it.
Yeah. Like in the beginning of the book, he's like, do you even exist?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why I recommend it to people. Because a lot of us, when we lose things, not just people, but even the things that we want, the opportunities that we want to get, we're like, God, are you even real?
Yeah.
And I think we need to really read this because our grief doesn't only come from losing a person, but also losing opportunities and also the dreams that we used to have.
Yeah.
There's this part that I just want to briefly talk about, Trey, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Still from A Grief Observed. Oh, this is such an interesting point that he made. He was talking about H here, Joy, his wife, and he said that page 54, passionate grief does not link us with the dead, but cuts us off from the dead. And then on the 55th page, he says, all that sometimes lifelong ritual of sorrow, visiting graves, keeping anniversaries, leaving the empty bedroom exactly as the departed used to keep it, mentioning the dead, either not at all or always in a special voice, or even having the dead man's clothes put out for dinner every evening. This is like mummification. That's what he said. It made the dead far more dead. Right? I mean, it's so interesting. Yeah. I'm sorry, Trey, that I'm getting like super into this.
I didn't think about
that. It's so interesting that sometimes we get so fixated thinking about a person who has passed away or maybe a former lover that we've lost, that we've totally lost the essence of who they were because we're no longer enjoying them. We've kind of mummified them and they've become even more dead or even more gone than they actually are. So there's just, you know what, this book is going to open so many doors in your head and in your heart. And it's just a great way to honestly get over your grief.
Yeah.
And understand, no, not get over it, but understand it.
That's a great point at the start. I actually haven't read it in a while, but I remember the start where he's going through it. You know, he's like writing down his emotions. He's like, God, are you real? Coming from someone who's written down how many essays and books and all that stuff. And he goes like, are you real? Because he's going through this grief that we all go through. You know, like it's something that we all question. And why can't we question that? I mean, just to, you know, the Christians out there. If you feel that way, that's fine. Like C.S. Lewis goes through that. I went through that. Like we all have those days where sometimes it's so painful that we have to let it out.
Well, even Jesus cried.
Exactly.
When Lazarus died.
Exactly. So when you mention that, it's very, very important. I feel like A Grief Observed is such a great book if you're really into dissecting, you know, those moments of pain, of unsureness,
and connecting it with your faith,
and connecting it with what you believe in. And I think that it's so important to see other perspectives as well.
You know, Trey, sorry to cut you. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this time I really made it a point to use it to listen to more podcasts. When the pandemic started, it's so important. You learn so much from podcasts and like from the personalities or like the different values of the people who are speaking. And apart from that, I made it a point to stop binge watching all the time and just open a book.
Yeah.
And fill my head with something. I remember I was watching like yet another K-drama and I was like, man, I'm feeling stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling stupid. I don't know anything apart from like K-drama, and I'm not saying that that's stupid. Oh my goodness, no, I'm not. I enjoy it so much.
Soju.
But if it's I mean, if it's taking up all your time, I think you have to rethink your priorities too, right? I started feeling so stupid. I wasn't learning about anything or anyone. I couldn't go to like any talks outside of my house. So what better way to bring it here in my home by having some books delivered, listening to podcasts. So I highly actually encourage everybody to pick up a book, something that you're interested in, maybe like a nonfiction, a fiction, it doesn't matter, whatever you're up to, because it's really going to help enrich your wisdom, your knowledge, and just make you a lot wiser too.
Are there any other moments you've had while reading any books that you want to share?
Wow, any other moments? A lot of, I guess I would say, a variety. And I've been getting a lot into Christian apologetics because if you guys don't know what Christian apologetics is, like it's basically a defense of the faith. Those are the kinds of books that I've been reading up on.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting because you would think that those books would only quote the Bible, but they really encourage you to learn more about quantum physics, philosophy, and it's, of course, core theology, the Bible. That's the core. But if you're a responsible person defending what you believe in, then you have to be knowledgeable in all the different worldviews in order for you to be able to defend what you know and what you believe is the truth. And this has just opened so many opportunities for me to be a student again, to learn again. That's why I asked Adrian to buy me a philosophy book for my birthday. I was so excited about that, and he did get me a philosophy book, and I cannot wait to start reading it. It's called The Philosophy Book. Really? No, it's a crash course on philosophy. It's just like an overview, the people who made a great impact in philosophy, and I cannot wait to get into it because I have been reading so much of like R.C. Sproul and like all those other Christian apologists who quote a lot of philosophers as well and debunk their theories. So I have to get a good background of that. But it's this is so different. This is not something that I would normally do. That's why I really encourage everybody who's listening now to start getting into podcasts.
Yes.
And apart from that, read. What about you, Trey? Like anything, not just any book, like maybe before we wrap this up, I want to know anything that has stuck out to you during this time that you want to share to everybody.
For me, it would definitely be appreciate where you are. It's something that you never know. It can be taken away from you anytime. So there are so many different things where I was like, okay, this year didn't go how I wanted it to go. You'll never really know. But through the changing times, I'd say appreciate where you are. Sure, it's hard. We're all going through different things. Some more financial, some more emotional, mentally. So there are a lot of things going on, I'd say, but appreciate where you are because you never really know. Well, number one, how long it will last because it might pass. Another side would be appreciate where you are because it's where you are. It's like sometimes you won't be able to change it. Sometimes you will. Sure.
Just be present.
Yeah, be present.
Because so many people think about the future and the past all the time that we're never really that present.
I agree.
That's a good point. Sorry, keep going.
It's all right. I agree. Be present. Do what you need to do. do the best you can do at what you're doing. Even if you don't really enjoy it particularly, I think if you really do your best at it, you will be recognized for the work you do. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. And try to find something that you like to do that's gonna give you input, because it's hard to put good output if you don't have any input.
That's good.
So like what you were saying was, for you, it's podcasting, it's books, right? Maybe for some other people, it's a crash course on something. You'll never really. I mean, there's so many different opportunities out there for people to learn, and if you can do that, that would be great. All right, Micah, are you ready for the speed round?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, first question is, what was your major YouTube channel inspiration?
Does it have to be a person?
Not necessarily.
Major YouTube channel inspiration. My purpose.
Okay. Is there any YouTube channel that you modeled yourself after, or you modeled it in a way that you didn't want to be like that channel?
Oh my goodness. Wait, no, okay. I didn't. The answer is no to both, and yes to the latter question. There are some YouTubers that I saw and that I didn't like, and I told myself that I don't ever want to treat my audience like that, or I don't ever want to be inauthentic that way. So yes and no.
All right. So just quick reaction. What's it like, because I know this part, what's it like being the inspiration to a hit song?
Oh. I was like, that loaded for a while. I need my royalties. I'm kidding. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna be really honest.
Yeah.
I feel really bad. That I was the inspiration behind the hits. No, I have not been the best person. Definitely. We've all had our shortcomings. That's an example.
You grew from it. It's fine.
I grew from it, yes.
Yeah. All right. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you like to be doing? In terms of career.
Career? Oh, right now I'd be taking my master's on philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
I would.
All right. If you didn't go to Assumption, what school would you like to have gone to?
Oh, Ateneo. Oh, sorry.
Wait, my LaSallian.
Wait, Ateneo or LaSalle?
Okay.
Ateneo or LaSalle?
Okay, my LaSallian.
Actually, feeling ko maybe LaSalle Comarts. I would have gone for that because Ateneo is more business and.
I can see you in Comarts. We would have been in the same building.
We would have been.
All right. In terms of social media, what's your favorite platform?
Oh, YouTube, definitely. Instagram is so. I love Instagram, but it kind of pressures me a bit.
Yep.
You get it.
Give me a podcast recommendation other than this podcast.
Oh, the Bible Project.
Oh, I love them.
Yes, and maybe for young girls, anybody who's listening right now, listen to the Big Life Devotional by Pamela. So good. Every morning, I would still listen to it. There.
What's your morning routine like?
Morning routine. I wake up, I do my skincare, I drink my vitamins, and I have my quiet time. Okay. That's it.
All right. What's your go-to fast food meal?
Go-to fast food meal. McDonald's. I would get spaghetti with chicken. And then fries and McFlurry, and then sometimes I get a burger on the side, preferably either the cheeseburger or the burger McDo. Jollibee, peach mango. Oh wait, you know those the pancakes with bacon for breakfast?
Yeah.
The sandwich thing.
Good. I have no idea what you call it, to be honest.
Yeah, and you guys should have it now. Not sponsored.
Sponsor us. No, I'm just kidding. If you could be a co-host of any host in the world, who would you want to be the co-host of? With?
Oh, shoot. Great question. She's not a host.
Okay.
But I really admire her.
Okay.
Catriona Gray.
Oh, that's
closer to home.
I did not think about that answer. Favorite drink?
Strawberry smoothie.
Favorite meal? Any meal?
Sinigang sa miso.
If you could be traveling to one place right now, where would it be?
Japan.
Where in Japan?
Fukuoka.
Oh, I love that place. It's so chill.
Right? Beautiful.
It's so nice. All right.
Yes.
What would you like to say to the people who follow you or the people who are going to start following you? And do you have any inspirational words or advice?
My advice to them is learn from other people's experiences because I was not like that growing up. People would already warn me about things and I'd never listen, and I had to experience it myself and get hurt so many times. So yeah, your parents will give you a lot of advice. Your friends will do so as well. Listen to those. It's important because you wouldn't want to experience that heartbreak. You wouldn't want to experience that, falling out. So there. Listen. I like what you said earlier. Input more than output.
Yeah. All right, Micah, thanks for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Trey, for having me. Oh, this was so fun. Thank you so much, Trey. I
Thanks
really
for coming
appreciate
on.
it.
I really like to talk about career love, your hosting, you
Yes.
and your ideas on, material love, all that stuff.
Yes.
I really appreciate you coming on. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that people really got something out of this podcast as well. You can catch Micah online on her YouTube and on Instagram at Micah Louisse. Is there anywhere else that you'd like to plug or?
Yeah, on my YouTube, it is Micah Louisse, and on my Facebook and on my Instagram, it's Louisse Micah. That's it.
Why is it the other way around?
I don't know.
All right.
I think
Doesn't matter.
made an old account with the name Micah Louisse before, and I don't have the password anymore. So there, guys, a little background. Don't forget to follow Trey as well on his socials.
Thank you, Micah. So yeah, my socials are at Trey Remulla, and you can check out more updates on the White Stripe podcast there. Micah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Hey guys, if you're still here, please subscribe and check out our other videos on YouTube.